Russia-Ukraine WarUkraine steps up strikes in the south. Kyiv, Ukraine. The Ukrainian military continued to pound targets across southern Ukraine on Tuesday as it sought to disrupt Russian supply lines, degrade Russia's combat capabilities and isolate Russian forces, part of what analysts said could be the beginnings of a broad and coordinated counteroffensive. The military said that its forces had broken through Russia's first line of defense in multiple points along the front in the occupied Kherson region, but officials offered little detail and their claims could not be independently verified. Western military analysts emphasized that Russian forces have had months to reinforce multiple lines of defense across the south, making any Ukrainian advance likely to be tough and bloody. It remained unclear whether the strikes marked the start of a long-anticipated counteroffensive or were simply an intensification of weeks of Ukrainian counterattacks. The British Military Intelligence Agency said on Tuesday that Ukrainian brigades had increased the weight of artillery fires in frontline sectors across southern Ukraine, but noted that it was not yet possible to confirm the extent of Ukrainian advances. The southern front stretches across a vast landscape of farms, fields and grassland, and includes territory that Moscow's forces seized in the initial phase of their invasion in February. Ukraine has staged sporadic counterattacks in the region for months, including using long-range weapons supplied by Western allies to strike behind Russian lines, and Russia has been racing to reinforce its positions. By early August, military analysts estimated that Russia had as many as 25,000 soldiers west of the Dnipro River in the Kherson region, forming 3 defensive lines. Those forces now seem to be the most vulnerable, as Ukraine appears able to strike all of the major river crossings that Russia needs to supply those troops. Overnight and into Tuesday morning, witnesses reported explosions at multiple river crossings, including around the Antonivsky Bridge, the main crossing into the city of Kherson, the only regional capital under Russian occupation. The bridge has come under sustained fire and was already badly damaged. Independent satellite imagery captured over the weekend showed the Russians attempting to build a pontoon ferry to resupply its forces on the western bank of the river. That crossing was damaged by Ukrainian strikes on Tuesday, said Serhiy Klon, an advisor to the head of the Kherson region's military administration, who added that another Russian pontoon crossing over the Dnipro, near the village of Lvov, was destroyed overnight. Still, the Ukrainian military high command maintained a general silence on troop movements. Natalia Humaniuk, spokeswoman for the Ukrainian military's Southern Command, declined to name any locations where Ukrainian forces had advanced or any villages that had been recaptured because she said that doing so could make them targets. "You need to understand these villages are still in the vulnerable zone and could be hit by the enemy artillery and aviation," she told a news conference. Russia at first denied that the Ukrainians were engaged in offensive operations in Kherson, then said that all enemy thrusts had been repelled at significant cost to the Ukrainians, but offered no evidence to support the claim. On Tuesday, the Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, said the country's military operation was continuing according to plan. Kirill Stremisov, the Russian-appointed proxy leader in Kherson, said that the open terrain could leave the Ukrainians exposed. "This region can become a real trap for the Ukrainian forces," he said in a statement. Ukrainian partisans also continued to claim successful strikes deep behind Russian lines, while also targeting high-ranking leaders of the Russian occupation administration. Russian news reports said that Alexei Kovalev, a former Ukrainian lawmaker who collaborated with Russian forces and was serving as the deputy head of agriculture for the occupation government, was shot to death in Kherson on Sunday. President Volodymyr Zelensky, speaking in his nightly address, said that while details of military operations must remain secret, Ukraine's objective was clear. "The occupiers should know, we will oust them to the border. To our border, the line of which has not changed," he said. "If they want to survive, it is time for the Russian military to flee."